So we've called them grand triangles, for want of a better term, because they're made up of 36 individuals in 3 12s. And the whole raison d'etre of 12s, going back now nearly 40 years, was to assemble 144 disciples in a matrix-like format that would replicate the New Jerusalem here on earth. And the process of slowly going forward and starting with grand triangles is all part of the unfolding carpet of energy before us. And so I think it's very important today to emphasize that as we go towards this 9 12s, that this is not the end of the process and it's not an end to the journey. Our actual goal is to go for 12 12s. And so although the 9 can be of great use to ashramic energy, it's not an end in itself in any way. It is a step upon the way, as the grand triangle is. And so I think it's very easy for us to get caught up in 3s, 6s, and 9s when actually our end goal is the 12. So I think that we should be fairly relaxed about that and use it as a preparatory tool for the 12. I think that's extremely important. Now, it will get quite complicated when we get to 9s, and it will get even more complicated when we get to 12s. And the secret of the whole thing is having 144 awakened disciples fit and disciplined and ready. Now, this is the thing that we can't actually guarantee in a sense. We can have to trust and have faith that those people who are going to be involved with this are fully aware of what we're trying to do, and we will be used as much as we can be used, in the sense of the quality of our work will be the quality of the people in it. Did somebody say something then?
No, but I see that perhaps Tili's hand is raised. Are you raising your hand for a question, Tili?
Yes. Stephen, when you say disciples, do you mean probationary disciples, accepted disciples, 44?
The truth is, Tilly, the best we can get.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Going by the esoteric idiom of half a loaf is better than none. So what we're going to try to do is get the very best that we can, and we trust in the ashramic energy to guide the best that we can to us. I mean, the ideal is to have 144 accepted disciples.
Yeah.
Obviously, of course. But I suspect that we're not going to be able to do that. So we're going to end up with a bunch of accepted disciples, then probationary, and then some aspirants as well. And that's fine, because we will still achieve an awful lot with that combination. But if you launch me forward 100 years or 200 years, I would say that 12s would be accepted disciples or not at all. But we are where we are, and the world is in dire need. And the conclave of the hierarchy that DK talked about is only 2 years away. I mean, it's for me, it's quite shocking to think about it. You know, I used to think about 2025 back in 1981, 82, and now it's 2023. Where's it all gone? So we've got to do what we can, and we've only got a short time to do it. So I'm very keen to push us, as you all realize, and get us organized and get us into some sort of ship shape ready for the event, you know. and let's have all our mini crises and our misunderstandings and all this stuff now, and clear it all out so that we're all ready to go 2024 onwards.
So let's say that those 44 must be serious, must be loyal, must have discipline and so on. Yeah.
I mean, the very least they must do is be reliable
Yeah.
and understand what we're doing, you know?
Yes.
Stephen, I think you're muted.
I do beg your pardon. What happened there? Wow, I didn't mute myself.
No, you are not muted.
I'm not muted now.
No.
Some would prefer me muted, but never mind. What we've got to do is we don't have time, and time is running out. So we've got to get our act together as best we can. We've got to have reliable people and people we can trust to be in place. And one thing that does concern me slightly, I guess, is that some of the people we don't know. I mean, I know the 48 who are in the PTs, but it's on faith that the other people are there doing what we want them to do, really, to a certain extent, isn't it? Because we don't really know them, do we?
Mm.
You know? But we have to trust and move forward. What other choice is there? This is it. We're nearly there. Before you know it, this year's gone, and 1 year to go. And, you know, with the things that are happening in the world today, the war and the catastrophes and all the other stuff, you know, it's going to continually be a challenge for humanity, I can assure you.
I've just talked these days with some friends from the Brussels, from the parliament, and they are all of them, all the politicians in Brussels are afraid of the third war.
I
At the
think
moment,
it's
it's
I
like
think it's
this.
very close.
Yes, very, very close.
I think it's 50-50 at best.
Yeah.
You know? And that would be a reset. A reset. Let me read you what DK said about that. Can I?
Yes.
Because I thought somebody might raise this, so I prepared it earlier. DK said, as the forerunner of that release of energy, which will change the mode of human living and inaugurate the new age, wherein we shall not have civilizations and emerging cultures, but a world culture and an emerging civilization, thus demonstrating the true synthesis which underlies humanity. The atomic bomb emerged from a first-ray ashram, working in conjunction with a fifth-ray group. From the long-term point of view, talking about Hiroshima, of course, its intent was and is purely beneficent. Now, DK also talks about the end of the stage of the forerunner. You're all aware about that, right? Are you've all understood that from the DK books, the end of the stage of the forerunner?
Yes.
He goes on to say, the general staff of the Christ is already active in the form of the new group of world servers. They are potent, a body of forerunners, as has ever preceded a great world figure into the arena of mankind's living. But DK talks about the end of the stage of the forerunner. So I found that a very interesting point that I haven't heard people raise much. That he talks about the new group of world servers being the forerunners. So what does that mean? We don't know completely, but I would suggest to you, and for what DK says about the destruction of humanity being a choice of humanity, that we are very, very close.
That's
You know,
true.
I think it really is no better than 50-50, I would say, because it's like a steamroller; it just keeps rolling, you know. And whatever your thoughts on rights and wrongs, and war is all wrong. Let's not make any bones about that. But where will it end? China is now getting wound up over Taiwan. The Americans can't stop winding up the world. They wind up Russia, and now they're going to wind up China about Taiwan, and they're pushing and pushing. And I think it's very unfortunate that they're doing that. I really do.
Stephen, where were you reading that from? What's the source of that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I should have said. Externalization of the hierarchy, section 4.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah. The present cycle from now until 2025 is technically called the stage of the forerunner. It is preparatory in nature, testing in its methods, wow, it certainly is, and intended to be revelatory in its techniques and results. You can therefore see that the Shohans, masters, initiates, world disciples, and aspirants affiliated with the hierarchy are all at this time passing through a cycle of great activity. Externalization of the hierarchy. And one last thing, because I think it's important. The avatar to come is a predicted certainty. That his forerunner, that word again, will be the Christ is equally sure. When Christ comes, it will be for the advanced units of the human family. They will recognize him. He has always been with us. Whilst his advent will evoke a responsive vibration from the masses, but not straight recognition. And that's raising initiations, rule 4.
And the great avatar you are speaking now is, I think, is this the Kalki avatar from Shambhala, as they say?
The avatar synthesis, I would
I
say.
think also, yeah, that's the same, yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting to me to point out that he uses the word forerunner
Forerunner.
in those pieces that I've just read. But he also says the end of the stage of the forerunner is in 2025. Now, what does that mean?
Yes.
You see? And from the hierarchy's point of view, if there was a nuclear war, they would see that in the longer term, as they saw Hiroshima as being beneficent. Now, it might sound really strange to us
That's
to think
true.
of it that way, because it's horrific, isn't it?
Mhm.
But they don't perceive it in those ways, do they? They perceive it as swathes of cycles and rounds and races.
Yeah.
See it in the longer picture, don't they? We don't. We see it, I include myself in this, we see it as a very small, small thing happening here and now. Because we're not.
I once asked a bishop of our church, when is the golden age coming? He says, maybe in 10,000 years. I said, how 10,000 years? Come on. He says, for the masters, it's a very, very, how they say, for the time. Just a moment. It's quickly. It's not a long way as for us, as they see it differently, the masters.
Yeah. And they don't always, when they look ahead, I mean, DK often in the books talks about prophecies and things which are going to happen, but that's largely based on the plan of the hierarchy being like this and the humanity responding thus. But often it's not the case. I mean, many of DK's predictions have not happened. I mean, there's no question about that. There is no World Federation. Cannot. I'm a DK student, but I cannot lie to you and say it's happened, because it hasn't happened. And many things he talked about have not happened. And I think humanity have not responded in the way that the hierarchy had hoped that they would. And that is the gravest danger of all.
Yes.
That if that response is not there,
Humanity has free will.
Well, yeah. I mean, there are some signs in the world, of course there are, of wonderful people trying to do what they can. But these megaliths of darkness are still around the world, aren't they?
Mm.
It's horrible, really. And now we've got this Ukraine-Russia thing going on, and maybe Taiwan and China, God help us if that goes on. Yeah. So the only answer is esoteric work.
Mm.
It's the only chance. And my personal, this is only an opinion, nobody's told me this, but I think it's going to take an intervention to save us. Yeah. I think we can't do it ourselves anymore. Yeah. But that's a personal opinion only. Intervention, Tilly.
Influence. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Someone's got their
Stephen?
hand.
Yes, I see another hand up. Is that Moshe?
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, I'm just joining here for the first time, and I'm very, very glad to be here with everybody here. I'm really excited about what I'm hearing. I just want to share with you a dream I had, a kind of a vision I had just 2 days ago. It was quite very vivid, and it's really been bogging my mind. And listening to what Stephen is saying right now, it's more of taking my mind back to the dream I had. Now, in this dream, which was quite very vivid, I saw a bright substance descending from on high, from a far distance of the sky. As it got closer, I saw it was like a diamond, very shiny, very bright, full of light. It descended into the sea. The impact of its descent was so terrible. It caused a kind of a tsunami. Just before I could get over with that vision, I saw another one of same kind descending and landed on the earth. And the impact was very great as well, and it caused a great destruction in the land. Now, I thought so much about this vision. I've been asking God to give me an insight to what this could mean. You know, this bright entity, because I believe it's an entity who came down from on high. The first one descended into the sea. The second one descended into the land. And I heard a voice saying within me, there's time no longer. There is time no longer. And I felt a sense of urgency. And I was like, oh, what needs to be done? What have we been doing? Or what needs to be done to enhance this work, to make us, bring in a more respond to the urgency of the time. I just like what I'm hearing, and it's very, very exciting to me. I think I just felt I should share this dream with you, and probably also to ask what can we really should be doing right now, in preparation of the time. 2025 is just by the corner, and how can we assess our progress, and what is the distance that is left to be covered, and what can we do to make this distance, a bit more, to just cover a bit more distance in this path. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you. Have you read the books?
Yeah, I have. I've read your book. It's quite very, very, very inspiring. I've read a lot of it. Yeah, I've read through the 12.
And Alice Bailey, have you read some of her books there?
Yes, I have. I have read Alice Bailey's and the works of DK. I'm quite very familiar with that.
So, it's, does anybody else like to comment? Did he?
Yes, I would like to say that if you go to the internet, nobody is like so many esoterics. They don't speak like you have spoken now. Everybody is speaking how nice, how good, how to do meditation, but nobody is warning us.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. Yes. And I think maybe we should also the information what you said now. What you said right now, Stephen.
Yeah. The problem is in our genre, I agree with you. I think there's too much sweetness and light, you know, and people have on Blavatsky Bailey Heroic, people have heard me say this, and I've got into trouble for saying it. that you know, there's all of this new age, everything's okay, everything's according to plan, nothing's wrong, Armageddon's finished, the golden age is here. Yeah, it's just I just don't see that at all. You know, that is a mystic's point of view, not an occultist point of view. You know, bless them. You know, we can lull ourselves into a false sense of security, you know, and do nothing. And what a lot of these, I've had arguments on BBR about it, and what a lot of these people say, oh, we don't need to do anything. You know, it's all happening. You know, the indigo children are here, and all this stuff. You know, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, they think the battle's won, and it's not. You know, we DK won't try to wake us up continually in his books. You know, he said all the time about praxis, about practicality, about working, about doing something about it. You know, he didn't want people to sit there in groups on high mountaintops, not doing anything. And what he didn't want, which happens a lot, is people just to read the books, but don't act, don't do anything. What's the point of that? You know, and there's a lot of that, isn't there, in our genre? You know, lots of reading the books and, oh, that's great, and some intellectual understanding, but they don't do anything to change the world, to help the world. And that's not what DK taught, in my view. So here we are, battling on to get groups of 12s grounded. We've done it very well. We've got 14 groups of 12s in operation monthly. We've got enough within those groups to do the 12 by 12s for 2025. Well, starting 2024 for 2025. So we are on course, but now we've just got to polish the stone a bit more, haven't we? You know, and just try to make sure that everybody understands what we're trying to do. I still get on occasion that even with people who've been in the group for years, that they're still not quite understood sometimes exactly what we're trying to do. And the most important point I always say to people is it's all about energy. Energy, energy, energy. That's what it's important about. It's not about this person joins this triangle, or this 12 unites with another 12 and all of this stuff. That's all peripheral. It's about continuum of energy from the ashram. That's my whole purpose here in this incarnation, to try to help that. And 12s is a matrix. It's a secret key. It's there. It's all there in the DK books, the Agni Yoga books, and the Bible and other places. That's it. As above, so below. So what else does anybody have any questions on? Does everybody understand the process of 9s going into the 12s in 2024?
No, I don't.
No, not exactly.
Not exactly. So let's go to this question.
Let's discuss it.
Yes.
So the 12, let's go the other way. Let's look at the end product. The 12 by 12 will be 12 groups of 12, linking as we do with 12s. It's going to be quite a process, trust me. So the first 36 will take position, and then the next 36 and lower, the next 36 and lower, and the next 36 and lower until it's a 12. Tilly.
Yes, I understand.
So, and that's when the magic really starts.
Sorry, Stephen, I'm just trying to think, please. When you say take position, can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. When we used to do it years ago in the 80s and 90s, we actually physically met, and we stood there in positions. So when I use the word position, I don't mean we do that in a physical sense, as we used to do, but we do it in a visualization sense. And this is the key to occultism. It's visualization technique is the backbone of the white magician. As you think, so you are. As you project, so it is. That is the whole basis of magical work, black and white, actually. And so when I talk about imposition, you must actually be there. And DK talked a lot about as if. He used the words as if when he taught about white magic. He used to talk about when, as if you are there, because then you are there. So you all know that as if.
Yes.
DK, yeah. So you would close your eyes, phones would be off, everything would be gone, and you would be there within yourself, present, as if you were physically there. And it takes quite a lot of mental agility to be able to visualize not just yourself, but a triangle, not just a triangle, but a 6, a 9, and a 12. And then it gets even more of a ability to be able to then visualize 3 groups of 12, and then to visualize 12 groups of 12. That's a very difficult thing to do, but that's what white magicians do. That's what we do, and that's what we talk about when we say present.
So when we are doing 1/12, at the same time we must visualize the second 12, and then visualize the third 12, as there is the picture.
Yeah, visualize. So we all know how to put our 12 together. 3, 3, 3, 3. So let's assume we're at that stage. Once we're there, we've got that, and the energy is going between us, we can then turn our soul's purpose towards visualizing the triangle from the center of our 12, linking to the triangle of the other 2.
Yeah.
Just as you would with a normal triangle that you do every day, Tilly, yes? You know, like when we meditate every day, when I meditate every day, I'm visualizing you and Vita, because you're in my triangles.
Yes, the same I do, yes.
And you are there.
Mm-hmm.
I see your face.
The same me, yeah, I do the
And
same.
I see Vita's face.
Yes.
And I say the word Vita and I say the word Tilly.
Mm-hmm.
And I am there. Absolutely. Unquestionably. And so therefore, this is the technique that you use throughout this process. You do it for the 36, you do it for the 72, the 108, and the 144. And then the magic really starts when we do the 144. Because that is the New Jerusalem paradigm, if I could call it that. It is 144 occultists trained and visualizing together the New Jerusalem, and then it opens up the Antikarana that reaches back to Shambhala. And that's the whole aim of it. Whether people are within that, some will be aspirants and some will be initiates and some will be disciples, whatever. At all grades, we're going for it.
Yes.
We're going for
I
it.
think that's very important to tell to the people, you should visualize.
Yes. I hope we do that. If we don't do that, please all do it more. This is the whole purpose of it. That's the whole purpose of white magic. Should I say it's the whole technique of white magic, not the purpose of white magic, the technique. It's the technique of healing too. It's the technique of the architect who builds a house, who visualizes the house first before they even start to build it. You know, it's the same thing. We are what we think. We create thought forms continually throughout the day. God help us. Not always good ones. Sometimes good ones, sometimes bad ones. And as we evolve, our thought process, minute by minute, second by second, is improved. Because that's the whole process of evolution.
Mm.
You know, as we think, so we are. The whole world is thought, actually.
Yes.
But
Everybody is visualizing.
we've got to try now. Now this is part of the problem, isn't it? Is that we've got the 48, the central 12s, and then we've got these wonderful co-workers working with us, but I don't get to talk to them. We don't know them really, and so we're relying on Rosalia and other people to go out and do that, you know, and to really hammer home that message. We are as strong as we visualize. And that's the message, really. And we will create a multi-dimensional 144, which is also reflective of the chakric system, of course.
Mhm.
Because if you add up all the chakric petals until the Ajna, you get to 96, and then you times it by 1,000. You know, 96, 92. I can't remember what it was. What is it, Tilly? You probably know.
52.
Not 52.
Nice,
Yeah.
not 96.
Yeah,
96. Okay.
96. Yeah.
You know, sometimes we having some problems in visualization, because sometimes we just think about so many things at the same time. You're trying to visualize, and different thoughts just kept interfering in your visualization. I think what we often need to do is ability to focus, ability to sustain, ability to eliminate the thoughts and understand the mission at the moment, and keep the focus, and that helps us to actually achieve the result when we have the focus sustained, and that is very, very important, because it affects a lot. You know, we think about so many things, and many thoughts just keep flip-flopping all over the place, and how to sustain that thought becomes sometimes a problem. And we need to be able to achieve that focus to be able to get that result.
Yes.
It's very easy for our 12 in Slovenia because we know each other, you know. We know each other how we look. And so when we do the 12s, there is not a problem. I see all the members of the 12s, like we are doing now, we see each other. Therefore, I think the Zoom is very important, so that you see the face of the people, and you can then do the triangles more perfect.
That's going to be difficult to do, Tilly, when you're talking about the Mexican Cubans, and I think this is the challenge, that we have to have a basis of trust that our colleagues are teaching their 12s.
Yes.
What we discuss here, and we have to have faith in that, and we will only be as good as our collective ability.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some 12s we have now are stronger than others, and within those 12, some triangles are stronger than others. That's just the law. That's the occult law of the universe.
When we are doing BGT, you know, I go all over the names. We have the members on the side, and then I look the faces, you know, so that, because sometimes I'm in this triangle, sometimes I'm in the next triangle, so I always look on the Facebook how people are looking, what's the face of the people, so I can better visualize.
When I do 12s, I don't picture people at all. Actually, I just picture light bodies.
Okay.
Because Tilly, if we don't do that, when we get up to 72 and 108 and 144, it's impossible to remember.
That's true. But you can visualize your triangle.
You can visualize your triangle, but I always recommend that when I do when I do my triangle work. But when I go into 12s work, actually, when I step in, I don't actually visualize my triangle. I visualize the light bodies going in, and I visualize 12 points of light, basically.
Okay.
And I think that that's a good technique to learn, because if we don't do that, we're never going to be able to remember 144 people. I can hardly remember 2 or 3 people, let 144 people. That would be really a challenge, wouldn't it?
Yes, thank you.
And may I ask, this is all about soul connection.
Yeah.
Isn't it true? We have to bypass the personality and how somebody looks.
Yes. I would recommend visualize lighted beings.
Light.
Yes, because I think in the daily triangle work, we've just got the 2 people linking in. I do see Tilly and Vita, and I see their faces and their light bodies too. But I think once you get to the next level of 12s, it's light bodies only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that's Tilly. I think it has to be that way, because otherwise we're never going to be able to remember all the different people. And in fact, it's an impersonal work.
It is impersonal, yes.
It's an impersonal work. So I recommend to do it that way. And I'm hoping that when we get to Thailand and we've got some 12s going there, that we can do the 144 with some of them actually physically present in Thailand, of course, doing it. That's the idea. If we get the people.
We visualize our people like body lights or antorch lights, I don't know, because we have many people of Latin American, it's impossible to know their face, to see their face. It's impossible to us.
Yes, I understand.
Okay,
So
then
don't
let's
try.
say, when you do the triangle, you can visualize the people. When you do the 12, then you see the light bodies.
Is that okay, Rosalia?
Yes, it's okay. Okay.
The triangles, you can visualize the 2 triangle partners, because that they have personally been placed in that triangle, so to speak. But I see the 12s as completely impersonal.
Impersonal, yes.
Impersonal. Yeah. And I find it personally, when I'm doing a 12, more easily for me. I actually physically step forward when it's my turn. I don't know if anybody else does that, but I tend to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I stand up when I do my 12s. When I'm in a 12.
You stand up, that means you are not sitting.
That's just you can do it sitting, but I tend to stand up, and then when my triangle goes in, I tend to actually step forward 1 step.
Mm-hmm.
I just make sure the TV's not in front of me before I start. Or the cat. No, the cat's not in the room. I just find it useful to do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
How can we really assess our progress in all these exercises and all these practices? How can the progress really be assessed?
Well, you don't need to assess the process, because it's not a personal endeavor.
I mean the progress, not the process. Progress, how the progression, that we're actually achieving something. How can we really assess the progress, not the process? Progress.
You mean, have we saved the world yet?
Okay. Yeah.
Well, we can't. What we do is we don't even attempt to assess the progress. What we do is we offer ourselves in service to the hierarchy, that they can use us It's not, when we're in 12s, it's not us doing the work. We are creating the vortex and the channel through which the hierarchy does the work. So therefore, we do it impersonally. And so therefore, I never think to myself, how do I assess the process, the progress? Because in a way, it's not really my business. I don't know. And that's why I try to explain to people that when you're doing 12s, don't aim it at something. It's not a gun, you know. Don't aim it at something. Don't think to yourself, I'm going to do a 12 and I'm going to aim it at Trump or Biden or something like that. We don't do it that way. What we do is we open it up and we say we are going to be a vehicle for hierarchy for the benefit of all humankind and all animal kind and the environment in our world, so that the hierarchy has a vehicle to use to pour the energy in, because we are the last bit in the chain, aren't we? We are only part of the chain, going back to Shambhala, etc. And so we are incarnate here, you know, and it's up to us to create the conditions through which the hierarchy can work. That's what it's all about. But I don't try to assess how much progress we've made or not made. I mean, how much progress has humanity made? Who's to say? You know, I think it's less than it was expected. But that's only my opinion. It's very difficult to say what the progress is. What we've got to do, in my opinion, is to hand ourselves over to greater forces than us, ask to be used by those forces for the benefit of humankind. That's what DK asks us to do. I don't think we can possibly have a spreadsheet of progress. But we are doing what we've been asked to do. What DK asked us to do a long time ago, actually. Have faith. What's the alternative? Do nothing. Okay, what's anything else anybody would like to raise?
I have a problem. Looking now here on the Zoom, I see only Tanya and myself, I think from the, okay, who is from the Greece? Catherine?
I'm from Greece, yes.
Yes, so you see, maybe three people from Europe. Where are the others?
It's true.
That's true, because we changed the time to help them.
Yes, yes, yes.
There we go. Good, and there's less people this time than there's ever been before.
I have actually been thinking about it, reading your message. How can we draw people to this blessed work? And I personally, I don't find it easy at all. I have no friend, no relative. I have no one who is interested in doing anything of this sort. And I am, at many times, I'm very disappointed, very, very disappointed. Now, as far as the Q&As are concerned, I am also disappointed of myself many times because I can't follow your hours. It's a very difficult year for me. But when I saw that this was so convenient, I said, yes, I must join. I can't only watch it, you know, when it's the recording. But it's true, it's true, it's sad. It's sad that people do not try, at least Europe, at this point.
Well, there's 24 said they were coming, didn't it? 24 said they were coming and 10 were interested. Yeah.
The problem with Europe, if I may say so, is that it is either in small hours or it is during the working hours.
Yeah.
And I mentioned yesterday, we met on Zoom for some other reason, and I mentioned this meeting, and everybody from Slovene group, many from Slovene group are at work now, so they cannot
Yes.
join, and they would love to join. I'm sure they would.
Yes. Let's look at that again. But
Yeah.
I've got a couple of things to say on that. The first thing is, it sounds a cliche, but you are not alone. You know, it's a terrible cliche, isn't it? Because actually, if we could see clairvoyantly, we open our eyes, there's thousands of people there with us, you know? And I see it quite clearly that, because all my life I've had this issue, the same as you, really, is that I'm disappointed, and I've been in many situations in my life when I've been on my own, so to speak. But it's always been put to me that if you opened your eyes, you would see hundreds of people there. The point is that you have incarnated in this terrible physical form that we're stuck with for 70, 80 years to undertake a service activity, you know, because believe me, I'd much rather be free, you know, and you know, I don't really belong here at all, is my feeling, totally, you know. So I can understand all of those reactions. And when I was very young, when I was a teenager, I really felt I didn't belong in the world, you know, and thank goodness I didn't go down a dark path with that, because I didn't want to be here. But now I've accepted and come to understand that I'm a part of many thousands of people on the earth who are here right now, you know, but there are millions helping us on the other side, and they need a physical grounding anchor here on earth to anchor the energies. There could be this huge, well, there is, not could be, there's this huge reservoir of love waiting. And we tap in occasionally, dup, 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 you know. And what DK was saying was, wake up, organize yourself into groups, become disciplined, and you have the ability to turn on this channel of love that can come down to the earth. And that's what we're trying to do. It is there, you know, and I'm here in Thailand on my own. I don't know one Thai person here who's interested in this thing. So I'm with you. I don't know anybody. None of my friends are interested in this. Not that I've got many friends, but the ones I've got aren't interested in this. Even my cats are not interested in this. And I've talked to them enough about it. We've got to be strong, and we've got to understand that we are the arrowhead, and behind us is a lot of support and a lot of love and a lot of power and resolve to save humanity from this disastrous walk to the precipice. And that's what we've got to try and do. And if we don't make it and the bombs are launched, I shall just know that I've done what I could. And I know you'll feel the same. And I'll have a glass of wine, do a meditation, and boom, I'll be dust. Go back home. No, I shouldn't really wish for it. Okay, so we do our best, and that's all we can do. But I do understand that feeling of aloneness, but actually it's a beautiful thing. It is, honestly. Just go within yourself. It's a beautiful thing once you get beyond that point. I feel great alone now.
It is actually, I agree. I'm in the process of being back, forth. I'm not steady yet, but I felt this, what you're talking about. I
You
agree.
will be.
Thank you.
Bless you. Okay, is there anything else anybody would like to bring up?
May I ask, this new process, when will it be implemented? About the 12s, the grant 12s?
I'm under severe pressure by some in the group to do it as quickly as possible, as you all know, by certain members. But the thing is, the most important thing is that we get it right, not rush it. So what we're planning to do is we do the 9 12s in the April full moon. That's the plan, because it's the first of the 3 spiritual festivals, as you all realize. And it will start us off. Or is it March, the first of the 3 spiritual festivals? Oh no, it is April. Yeah, yeah. So we'll start it then, and then we'll be ready for Wesak, and then next year we'll do the 12s, the 12 by 12s. And all we can do, folks, is do our best. Just do our best, and we hope to make an impact. Well, we will make an impact.
We will make an impact. Yes.
We will. Yeah, we will. Okay.
I
Is there
agree.
anything else?
Thailand.
Yes, Thailand. Here I am.
Mhm.
We have 15 people, I think it is. Is it, Sandy?
50 people, yes, but also from Slovenia, some people will come. At the moment, we know about 4 or 5, I think, from Slovenia, and maybe fourth, yes, 4th.
That would be great.
They still didn't pay, and that is a question. Maybe some will join, let's say, 1 month before.
Yeah, the challenge is, Tilly, we need to get 40 people this year.
Yes, this year, okay.
This year, 40.
That's not a problem. If you ask.
I don't think it is. We're expecting to have 60 to 80 coming. But
Yes.
the point is, we need 40 to make it work.
Okay.
So once we've got the 40, we can then start to go out and it actually people can join later. It's not so important because we've secured the venue, we've secured the deposits, we've booked the staff. There's so many things to do. You wouldn't believe the amount of organization it's going to take to do
I
it.
can imagine. I was for many years in the staff of, you know her, Solara. So I was in the staff, and we always manage to get 144 people for some sessions present there. So I think it's not a problem, and people joined 1 month before, to come to Peru, to come to wherever.
144 would be heaven, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would be. Stephen, I have a question. Sorry.
Yes, please.
By 40 people, you probably mean 40 who will send $200.
Yes.
That is the certainty that they will come,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that would cover the basic what you need to do in advance for everything.
Well, it would be a green light that we're going to do it. If I only had 40 at the beginning of 2025, I probably might reconsider the room size. And I might only take on 1 staff, not 2, things like that. I might have to adapt it a little bit, but at least we're going to go with it. 40 is we're going with it, even if we only get 40. But we're expecting 60 to 80, maybe more. Who knows? People start to
Maybe 144.
144 would be
Heaven, yes. Okay, thank you.
that would be amazing. Imagine actually doing the ceremony with 144. You all know where you all know where the page is to go and have a look. I did a little video. Have you all seen the little video?
Yeah.
I should do a better one later on.
Yeah,
And we haven't even started to market it properly or do adverts or anything. We've just got 15 in the first month, and that's great.
Mhm.
Yeah, but we're going to come up with some sort of an advert, and we're going to start going to the 12s group and saying, because in the 12s page we've got like 600 people, but we've got 180 people active monthly, and I would have thought a great deal of those would want to come. I mean, this is the chance of a lifetime, and also bring your families, make it a vacation. Well, Thailand's a great place.
Mhm.
Elephants, lots of things happening.
I've checked it online. It is perfect.
It is. You'll have a
beautiful
wonderful
place.
time. Trust me, I live here. And you can just do the work for the 4 or 5 days, and you can stay for 2 weeks, and you know you'll have a wonderful time. It'll be a holiday of a lifetime.
Oh,
That's why we've told you well in advance, 2 years in advance, so people can sort out their finances and everything else.
Okay,
Yeah.
Stephen, you just need us to send you $100.
$200 to the site. Give butter. Sandy's in charge of that. Speak up, Sandy.
I need to unmute first, don't I?
Yes.
If you go to the 12's website, there is a page that talks about Thailand 2025, and there's further information there about the hotel and details. And there's a link there to give butter in order to give the donation money of $200 to reserve your place.
The total cost is 400, and we've kept it low. If you want to have some sort of a guide, you can just look at how other people charge. Moira Federation, other people, a lot more than that. So we try to keep it very reasonable. All of the money is going to go on the event. If there was anything left over, it would go to the group. It'll all be very transparent, and you'll have a wonderful time. The $400 does include lunch, coffee breaks, water, and that type of stuff, but does not include accommodation, flights, of course, and evening meals. So in the evenings, I'll just talk a little bit about it, get you excited. In the evening, we're going to have a different event on every night, but you don't have to go to those. It's purely voluntary. But what we'd like to encourage you to do is to go to the last, on the 12th of May, the last 12 that we do. We'd like everybody to come to the group dinner on that night. That would be nice. I mean, we don't insist on it, but it'd be lovely if everybody did, you know, and I'm calling it the Last Supper. So the Last Supper is going to be the last night we're together.
Who is going to be the Christ?
yeah, exactly.
Well,
Also,
Tilly, he's invited.
Yeah.
But it will be a wonderful, loving event. And I really encourage you all, if you possibly can, to try to come. You know, you'll have a wonderful time amongst people who all think the same way that you do.
Mhm.
It'll be a lovely thing. It'll be a lovely mix of, and it won't be too pressured. We'll be starting at 9:30, 10 for coffee, and it'll be a nice. And we'll have lectures. We're booking people every day to talk about different subjects. So you'll have 1 or 2 speakers each day, question and answers, and you'll have a tour desk so you can book your elephant rides and anything else that you want to do.
12,
And there'll be lots of things happening.
12 elephants.
we of course, it's all going to be eco-friendly. It'll be a proper nature reserve for elephants. You can go and see those. We're going to have Thai singers, dancers. You'll be in dreamland.
That's true. Yes.
Trust me.
I probably never want to come back.
You probably never want to come back. That's true. I didn't want to come back. I've been here 15 years. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. Okay, folks, thank you so much. Shall we wrap it up now?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming, and bless you all.